Welcome back to Polished Professionals, the blog and brand to help you conquer the workaday world with style and poise. Today we are giving you 8 tips on how you can nail your next video interview. But before we get into those tips, we hope you hit the subscribe button and the bell if you are not yet a subscriber so that you never miss an episode. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad you're here. We are here for all the bosses out there to conquer the workaday world with style and poise. Without further ado, we will get into these 8 tips for getting you ready to nail your next job interview by video. If any of you have been interviewing lately, you may have come across job interviews by video. They're becoming more and more common as we've been seeing out there in the work world, mainly because they're much more efficient for companies in order to set up a number of interviews at one time. Often also as companies globalize, maybe bosses are in New York and people like me may be in Houston. So you never know when your next interview will be by video, and we think that is just as important that you get prepared for that video interview as you would if you were going in person. Even if you are a tech-savvy person, you are going to want to get ready for a video job interview. You will also want to make sure, especially if you have not had a lot of video job interviews, that you really take heed of these next 8 steps because they do have some distinct differences than when you may traditionally go in and meet in person for an interview. To that end, we will get to tip number 1, which is test your technology. So what does this mean? What do you need to account for when you're preparing for a video job interview? You need to make sure that all your technology is working. Check your laptop, make sure your microphone works, make sure your video works. Do a test run with maybe your friends or your family so that they can see you, they can give you feedback about volume, about what you look like, things like that. You want to make sure that come the day of the interview that your technology is not the thing you're worried about. You want to make sure that what's shining through is your skill set and your desire to work at that company and not being worried about any kind of tech issues that may come up last minute. This may be your only chance to get in front of a few people that may be, for example, remote in the interview, so you want to make sure it goes seamlessly. And if you need help with technology issues, I would definitely suggest calling in someone beforehand, not the day of the interview, so that you can work out all of those issues up front so that all that shines through is your confidence. Tip number 2 is charge it up. Make sure that not only have you tested your equipment, but come the day of the interview that you have charged everything up, whether that is your cell phone, whether that is your video, laptop, other things like that. Everything should be well charged so that nothing will power you down as you go through your video interview. You will also want to make sure that you go to a place with a very strong Wi-Fi signal. So in addition to charging everything up, know that your Wi-Fi is strong wherever you go so that you do not have any connectivity issues. And if you are using a tablet or other smaller device, while we don't recommend a phone, we do recommend a laptop or desktop. Make sure it is steady if you're going with a laptop or a tablet version for your interview. You want to make sure that it doesn't look like the screen is shaking as you're talking to people. So really be prepared well in advance to make sure that your connectivity and your charge is strong. Tip number 3, just because you are going to have a video interview does not mean you should not be dressed for success. So what do we mean by that? Make sure that you are wearing something that makes you feel confident and of course would be business appropriate. This is not the time for your pajamas or that old newscaster trick where they would wear a suit on the top and their PJs or sweats on the bottom. That is not going to make you feel confident. Plus, you never know what may be shown in that video camera. So if you have it at a different angle than when you first tested it, please do not do that. We suggest wearing something that will make you feel confident so that you can stand out whenever you are interviewing with them. Also, think about things that may look funny on video. So bright colors may reflect differently, have a reflection off of your face that may not be normal in a one-on-one interview when you go into an office. So really think about those things, maybe fluff and other things, maybe big ruffles, those kind of things. Think really business appropriate. Think about what the company will require of you if you were to go work for them in person. Also, if you have questions about any of what to wear to an interview, we have other videos that we will let you check out that will give you some great tips on that as well. Tip number 4, set up a distraction-free environment. And what do we mean by that? Well, it's easy whenever you go in one-on-one in an office. You're usually in somebody's office, closed door. There isn't going to be distractions. People will keep people from coming in and out. But the same is not true with a video interview. You need to make sure your home is set up for success if you're interviewing from your home or wherever you're choosing to take this interview. What that means is you want to kill all distractions that may be around you, such as a delivery man ringing the doorbell, email notifications, or ringers going on and off on your phone. Make sure those things are really cleaned up, off, no questions asked, that you are on a do not disturb basis. You may want to put a note on your front door that tells delivery people, do not deliver, do not ring, all of those kind of things. Also, a video interview is not the time to have your kiddos have a crisis. So you really want to make sure you've got a babysitter or whatever you may need in the household to make sure that there are no distractions that come in as you are in the middle of your interview with them. Last but not least on this point, make sure that you think about the environment around you, not just the distractions that can come to you. And what do we mean by that? Make sure, for example, there's not loads of undone laundry in the background. Make sure you're not in a coffee shop that may have other people walking in and out. You really want to be in an environment that is clean. Think about the background. When you do your test run, ask your friends or your family member who you're doing the test run with what the background information projects about you, says about you, how it may reflect off the video, things like that. You really do not want anything else to be a distraction. You want to be the thing that shines through you and your confidence and why you are right for the job, not anything surrounding you. The next tip for you is to be a well-prepared early bird. And what do we mean by that? We mean getting your technology up and running at least 10 minutes before the interview is to start. We think that it's really important for you to go ahead and ask the HR representatives if you may be able to set up with them a few minutes before the executive or manager may come in for the interview itself. This really just shows that you are prepared for any contingency, and we know any employer would like that. So get everything you need set up well in advance of the time to start so that you don't have any distractions once it is time to get going with your video interview. Also, it's important to have your resume handy so that you have been through it, you know what is on there, and you know what to expect. Even if you're not reading it, which you should not do, it allows you to have a crutch should you need something to reference again, but you don't want to get up in the middle of a video interview to go grab that. In a video interview, you should also be prepared for the normal questions that you would expect at any interview, like why did you choose this position? Why would you like to work with this company? What are your skill sets that you think will best help you satisfy the job requirements for this job? Anything like that, you should be prepared just as if you were going in person and talking to these people. And if you have any questions about how to answer some of these interview questions, we will link our videos here that can really help you nail those interview questions. The next tip is to maintain eye contact and good posture and body language. You lose a lot when you're not in person, so it really will be important to project confidence in your body language whenever you're doing a video job interview. So it will be important that you are keeping eye contact with the person asking you the questions. It's also important that you sit up straight. Project confidence in the way that you hold yourself. Don't allow your hands to be flailing all over the place or for there to be distractions in between you and the person you're talking to in the interview on the video. So really make sure that you are continuing to hold to the same kind of body posture and eye contact that you would normally have if you were in person. The next tip is to project and pause. What do we mean by that? Well, sometimes in a video, there can be a lag or delay that happens between the person asking the question and you answering the question. So one thing that you will want to do is make sure that you allow the person an opportunity to ask a question and pause for one moment before you begin your answer. This will allow them to make sure that they've gotten out their entire question for you to hear that question. Additionally, it allows you to think of a response. So I really like that one moment of thinking, how am I gonna answer that? Allow that little pause that allows you to put together a more cogent answer, but helps in any kind of lag that may exist in the video transmission of the job interview from one person to the next. The other point to consider under this is that you project. Often video is harder to hear than it may be if you were on a telephone or things like that. So make sure, especially when you do your test run, that you check your volume controls, but that during the interview, it's very fair to ask the other party if they can hear you, if they can hear you easily, and vice versa. If you cannot hear them, let them know so that they can also project. You don't want to miss anything on your video interview, especially if this is your one and only chance to talk to some of these folks. Last but not least, just as you would with any in-person interview, make sure to thank the company and the interviewer for spending their time with you. Let them know you appreciate their time and investment in this interview process and that you are excited about the opportunity to work with them. You should also, after your interview is over, follow up within 24 hours with a thank you note. Make sure you're specific in the things that you put in that thank you note, and if you have any questions or tips on that you would like to share, we hope you put those down below in the comments, and we will be sure to answer those and share your tips with all of our readers. So just like a normal interview, you will want to maintain that follow-up that shows you are excited about the position. We hope these 8 tips have been helpful to you as you prepare for your next interview by video. If you have any additional suggestions, we hope you put them below in the comments and share those with our other bosses out there. Additionally, if you have not subscribed, you can hit that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss an episode of Polished Professionals. We are available on all social channels at polished_professionals or our website, polished-professionals.com. Thanks so much for watching.